Reinsurance has gained more relevance since the COVID-19 pandemic that disrupted global economies. It essentially refers to insurance for insurers. So this has gained prominence since it dilutes risk further and allows insurance companies to take on large and risky clients. Giving you Ownery, this was one of the first decentralized reinsurance marketplace and provider that is dedicated to serving the need for proper insurance services in the DeFi sector and cryptocurrencies industry by democratizing the trading of risk. So as you know, this is known to be a very high risk industry. So that's where these guys are highly relevant as of today. The platform breaks barriers to entry for the retail investor by doing away with the historic prerequisite of high capital, which is generally needed to invest, and also allowing its community to propose innovative insurance products to this space. So these two started years ago, doing various things together, including beating the norms and winning global accolades over the years, including the Microsoft Hackathons, the Seaside Startup Summit in 2018, and even the NEM Blockchain Challenge in 2019. Standing the test of time and killing it together still more than ever before, let's give it up for the buddies and the very founders of Ownery, Jaskanwar Singh and Sujith Sizon. A hearty welcome to you both, and over to you to take us through your journey. Sujith and Jaskanwar, over to you.
Thank you so much. So thank you for the kind words that you said, and we've had a long run together, definitely. So the way we'll be taking it forward is I'll be talking about the idea, and then Sujith can take it forward about how we went about through the actual implementation. So we both met in college. We started the first decentralized vehicle registry solution here in the region, and as you said, we won various awards and accolades, and we also got the Ministry of Economy's award for most innovative company. From there, Sujith went into consulting. He went on to become a consulting rock star, basically, having worked with various government and non-government agencies. He worked on their technology implementation, insurance implementations, got it done, while I went into insurance, and I was eventually the CTO of the third largest health insurer just before venturing into Ownery. Having already done a blockchain startup, we always followed this space and had investments in various DeFi tokens. We realized that while DeFi was booming, the protection and the insurance solutions for DeFi were not. So that's where we thought, yeah, there's an issue. And the issue was also there's a dearth of capital, which leads to problems in funding insurance products, innovative insurance products, certainly. And we wanted to decide to solve this problem. In order to solve this problem, we had to decentralize the entire process of building insurance products, funding insurance products, and ultimately trading insurance products. That's where the idea was born. So the goals were to allow investors and stakers to access risk as a means of generating passive income. Basically, we wanted to give the rich man's tools to the retail investors so that they can earn passive income over time, leveling the playing field. We also wanted to allow the creation of new insurance products so that products actually work at the time of claim. And we wanted to build a DAO to facilitate this entire procedure. We also wanted to commoditize risk. So similar to stocks, people can, come in, close, and open their risk positions, similar to how you do it with apps nowadays. And so Ownery was born. 3 verticals: Ownery for investors, Ownery for traders, and Ownery for innovators. Now I'll leave it to Sujith. He would talk about how our 3 were built and what was the motivation behind them.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Jas, for the introduction. What I'll do is I'll basically walk everyone through the timeline of how we went about developing our solution, what we have been doing for the last 2 years in like a ordered fashion so that we don't lose out. The first thing that we did was designing out the app. We already had, at the time we started Ownery, we already had a team of designers as well as developers from our previous company. where we were providing blockchain consulting solutions for. So we already had a team in place. We got them on board. We asked them to get the designs ready, and fairly quickly they were able to put something together which represented our vision of the three products that we were building out, which were called Ownery for investors, Ownery for innovators, as well as the risk trading platform. Post that, this was somewhere in April 2020, we ran a couple of focus groups. Since it was like in full lockdown mode almost everywhere, we ran it over Microsoft Teams. We got a lot of our peers from the insurance space, from the crypto space. We got on board a couple of advisors. We asked them what they thought about the app. How could we improve it? The goal was for anyone who would visit our app, instead of going through the landing page or the white paper, they should get to know what they're supposed to do on the app. If they want to buy insurance, the process should be so simple that they don't have to refer external material. And we went through a couple of weeks, a couple of different iterations of the app, and by around late April 2020, the first POC of Ownery was born. Post that, we got into implementation mode. We already had a lot of developers on board who were working on previous projects for our blockchain clients. And as you know, because of COVID, we had a shortage of clients. So most of these devs were free. So we thought, like, let's just put them to work. Let's see where this things leads us. So we told the guys about the concepts. They quickly started building it out. We also had a actuarial and team of risk ones who were developing the models which we could use to code out the smart contracts as well. And fairly quickly, also this is where the Polkadot journey begins, is when we started seeing problems during the technical implementation. I'll pick out the three biggest problems that we faced, and how we chose Polkadot to be the solution for that. The first one was obviously the gas fees and the transaction speed. Most of the competitors in the crypto insurance space, namely, like, let's say the big players, Nexus Mutual, Armor Finance, Cloud Protocol, etc., they were primarily operating over Ethereum network. And for a common user to be able to get an insurance for their portfolio of like $1,000, they would be charged a premium of let's say $50, depending on the protocol. Now, the problem that existed was that the gas fees were so high that you would have to pay almost thrice that amount just to buy that premium, which did not make sense to any users. Because if I'm insuring my asset by paying $50 and I'm paying, like, let's say $100 in gas fees, that revokes the utility of buying that insurance. That was like sort of the first big problem that we saw. Second was that there were a lot of blockchain networks which were coming live. People were building blockchains left, right, and center, and they were putting their hard-earned money and locking it up in these different blockchain platforms. And we knew that if we wanted to build a self-governing or like a fully scalable system, our platform had to be interoperable and had to exist on a multi-chain network. The third biggest problem was the complexity of the mathematical operations that were involved. Usually when there is anything related to insurance, it's always based on probabilistic mathematical formulas, and probabilistic mathematical formulas are not that easy to implement in Solidity. We would have like back and forth discussions with our devs all the time, and the quant team would just give out formulas, and the devs would be just so confused that how do we code this out? It's like virtually impossible, because they would deal with like logarithmics, exponentials, etc. That's sort of when I remembered watching all those videos of Gavin Wood, how he used to talk about building like a blockchain network for other blockchain networks. the whole concept behind Substrate, using Substrate as a framework. And we just loved the idea that he was using Rust, which is a fairly more mature language compared to Solidity. It overcame a lot of hurdles for us at that point from a technical implementation point of view. And that's sort of like the reason why we chose Polkadot. Also, the whole fact around having a runtime WASM environment, relay nodes, having external proxies, etc., just helped us solve like a lot of things which we could perceive as being challenges in our technical implementation. And at that point of view, at that point of time, we decided that we would split our team into two parts, because we had already our core Solidity devs working on the smart contract at that time. And we set up a new team who were basically responsible for working on the Rust side, on the Substrate side. They would set up the blockchain network from scratch. It was a fairly simple process. They were mostly focusing on coding out the same smart contract logic in Rust so that it's more efficient and it's more easier to build up later down the line. And yeah, around August, that's when we started picking up most of the development activities on both the teams. And the first MVP of let's say the minimum viable version of Ownery was completed. That was again run through different focus group to like basically improve it. At that point, we started seeing new problems, which sort of are like non-technical in nature. We realized that we need more funding because getting blockchain devs was getting expensive. We knew that we needed money for marketing this product out. And additionally, like we also knew that in order to kick out this product, we needed a bit of initial capital so that we can fund our initial reinsurance pools. And that's how we basically started with the whole fundraising process. Just if you want to talk about the fundraising process a bit.
Sure. Thank you, Sujith. That was very detailed, and I think it helped a lot of people basically who were devs to understand how Polkadot impacts the development side of things. So around March and April, we realized that we need to scale up the dev team. We need some funds, as Sujit said, and so we started scouting. Okay, let's try to raise money on the crypto side of things, because Sujit and I, we've been involved in multiple startups, and we had a lot of experience in TradFi VC funding. We had a lot of VC connections, but they knew nothing about tokens. So we were like, okay, let's get on a few advisors on board, and we got to learn from them, and started writing the white paper. It went on to about 80-90 pages, and then we worked with a few industry legends, some PhDs in blockchain, and we tried to condense it to a readable format, so that a lot of things which are insurance related, which are blockchain related, they can be read by common people. They can be read by people who are new to the industry, new to even tech. So, and then the second part was to actually take all of this information and condense it further into a pitch deck, which also took a lot of time, because there are, as a founder, you have so many relevant aspects that you want to mention, and you want to mention on investor calls, but you only have a few minutes to convince someone whether to invest or to not to invest. So we went from that part, and then eventually we were so well received that I went from taking one call a day on certain days, and then within like 2-3 weeks, I was taking at least 15 to 20 calls. So I was not sleeping at night. I used to wake up in the middle of night, match the time zone of the investor, do the call, make sure that we have enough funds to have a runway of at least 18 to 24 months. It also reached a point where we had limited allocations, and we only chose to give to the investors. Instead of raising more, we chose to give to the investors who would be long-term partners. in this journey. Because while we were in traditional side of things, we realized that VCs and partners who you take on board, they create a huge impact in the later stages of the game. While there are hiccups, it's the time that you need the maximum support. So what this assumption of ours was actually validated when we had the market downturn in the middle. We did a 3-month lock on our investor tokens, and not one of our investors came to us and said, "Why did you do that? I need my tokens." So we were blessed to have a lot of investors. We were also blessed to have a lot of good investors. So after we closed the fundraising part, we also had a lot of debates as to why not to raise more, why to only raise what we actually need. And we did a lot of calculations as to what would be the worst case scenario on the runway. Once all of that was done, we decided to apply to various launch pads, and thankfully we were chosen by the best, which was Polka Starter. And we went on to learn a lot from them in terms of the entire IDO process, whitelisting process. We had Sujit. Do you remember we had around 600,000 applications to enter the whitelist, managing bots? It's a crazy kind of adrenaline rush that you get during those days, from going right into development to having so many people talk about your project, so much hype around the project. Then eventually it was the D-Day, 28th April. We actually went and listed. We had a great listing, and that's basically it. Sujit, do you want to take it up from here?
Yes, I'll talk a bit about our app launch and meanwhile what was happening in the background. So while Just was primarily focusing on the fundraising, there was a lot of things happening on the development side. Um, Even though our product was ready by late 2020s, we had started testing out the app and had started noticing a lot of problems. And this was also when, unfortunately, um, like COVID was in like full disaster mode all over like India as well. So like most of our devs were based out of India, we ran into sort of like a hiccup where there were bugs, a lot of issues being reported on the app, and there were not enough devs to like help work on those issues and get it up and running. So we sort of went into a disaster recovery mode, and I remember sometime in around Feb or March 2021, that's basically this year, I had a team huddle, and I got everyone, all the devs on the call, all the designers, and we basically changed our strategy a bit. We also had started noticing some delays with the parachain rollouts. The requirements of getting winning slot auctions were also getting tougher. We had some issues with our parachain partners as well. So we started noticing some really bad hiccups, and we did not want to be late. There was a lot of activity happening in the crypto markets. People were staking their assets, locking up their assets in really vulnerable smart contracts, and we knew that we cannot delay the launch of our app. So we switched our strategy a bit. We decided that we will launch our app first, like the MVP version, on a smaller network. Probably like at that time we were exploring like Kusama, doing like a testnet release on Kusama, but we just realized like let's not waste time on that. Let's like just do a main rollout on a core chain. Binance Smart Chain was selected out of that call, and we went ahead with the launch. Our first version was a bit limited in its nature. We just launched this end of last month. The restrictions on the app include like we had fixed size staking pools. That means you can only stake your assets up to a certain amount, and you can only stake your funds in USDC, and the USDC which is staked in those pools are used to provide capital that could underwrite premiums up to like $1.1 million. The total size of the risk pools were $500,000. So we basically have like a 2.1 collateralization ratio on all the insurance that is being bought on our platform. Now, we obviously did this because we wanted to get feedback from the market, see how people are reacting to it, and sort of understand what the requirements of people are and how they're looking forward to the app. Now, there was in terms of, let's say, like what lies ahead and what we have planned for the future. The first thing is that we will be launching a reinsurance framework on as like basically like an open source substrate module, which can be used by any protocol to define like a custom insurance product for themselves. So it's going to be like an open source package. Projects can like just fork it, customize their requirements, like how much collateral they want to underwrite their policies with, upload their audit reports, submit their team specific information, where to get the TVL from, what's the current status of the smart contracts, etc. And then once they submit the pull request on the repository, it goes through our DAO, where our actuarial team members will vote on it, and then it gets passed on to be added to the to the insurance pool to provide capacity. That's currently under development, and we're planning to launch that by early to mid 2022. That's on the Polkadot side. On the other side, on the like Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain side, we are launching the V2 version of our app. I'll let just give a quick brief on that.
Sure. So what we realized during this journey was that a lot of our competitors in the insurance space were focusing on actually DeFi insurance is still very young. A lot of our insurance competitors are focusing on the top 100, top 200 tokens to give insurance to them. However, there's a very big market of the top 200, top 100 tokens that are there that nobody is focusing on. These are the ones which are more vulnerable, and these are the ones which actually need cover. So we realized, let's do something about giving insurance to these tokens and to people who actually hold these tokens. So in short, what we're doing is we're going to be the first protocol that will allow insurance almost of any asset on chain. We will instantly analyze the risk that an asset carries based when a user connects their wallet, and based on some on-chain analysis, which is powered by machine learning. By this analysis, we will underwrite the premium at the same moment itself and allow the user to pay the premium in the native token which he's insuring. Thereby, as Sujith said, we wanted to make insurance easy, accessible to buy. This entire insurance product or suite of insurance products would be backed by the UNO token, and this would basically exponentiate the utility of the UNO token, which will be the first token and the only token which can be used to invest and stake into these pools and basically earn passive income in a host of different tokens, including stable coins. So that's what we have for V2. We're aiming for a launch in the next few weeks. We also have a version 3 coming very soon. Version 3 would allow us to have dynamic staking pools, and can stay tuned to our channels to get to know more about it. So that's basically it from our side. Sujith, do you have anything else that you wanted to share?
No, I think that's it. I think we overshot the time by, I think, around 4 minutes.
My apologies for that.
Oh, not at all. In fact, you have more time. You have about 10 minutes more, out of which we can take a few questions also. So please share some more with us if you have anything.
Sure. I think we can go ahead with the questions if
Yeah.
there are any. And if there is time left after the questions round, I can maybe discuss some stats about our app.
Sure. Okay, so we have Shantanu asking us, what was the reason for choosing Polkadot as a platform to launch Ownery?
Yes, good question. So primarily, as I indicated, it's three core reasons. One was that we didn't want to be levied to high gas fees, which exist currently on the popular blockchain networks. We wanted to have like lower transactions fees and like faster block speeds. So that meant deploying our own, blockchain network, and Substrate gave us like all the power in the world to be able to do that. Second main reason was interoperability. We knew that if we wanted to build like a self-governing system which could exist for a long time in the future, it needed to operate across different blockchain networks. And the way external proxies were configured in Polkadot, and how you could use the relay chain to basically aggregate different blockchain networks, uh, all at the same time being inside a single blockchain network, that just solved that problem for us. Last but not least, actually there were a lot more problems, but the third core problem was the complexity of the mathematical operations which we were doing. Um, a lot of the claims information and the risk analysis dealt with probabilistic and statistical formulas, which are always like exponential, like it's complex mathematical operations which are not easy to implement in Solidity or any EVM compatible network. It's like it makes the smart contract too bloaty, and it's very hard to build upon later on. And Rust was the perfect solution for that. We loved the fact that like Substrate was built from scratch on Rust, and it just gave us a lot of power in terms of building really strong, like smart contracts or like automated systems.
Great. Okay, so our next question would be, what are the guidelines of IRDAI with respect to an insurance based on the blockchain, as they are regulators of the insurance sector, and is it allowed?
Okay, that's the Indian regulator. Great.
Yeah.
So there are currently no regulations on blockchain, and certainly no regulations on insurance on blockchain. But the way that we basically circumnavigate this entire issue, I would like to say that it's an issue, because if we don't have regulation, we don't know how to operate a business. So how we circumnavigate this issue is, Uno is planning to set up an insurance protected cell company. An insurance protected cell company is basically a mini insurance company. So what you do is, you choose a jurisdiction which knows how to set up insurance entities, such as Bermuda or Guernsey or one of these jurisdictions. You go and you put some capital there, and the jurisdiction would allow you to take risk up to certain USD based on the capital that you've put. This allows the policies that Uno would be issuing to be actual insurance policies, which means that we will obviously be having a DAO who would be, doing the claims management, etc. But if you're not satisfied with all the things that you've gone through, and you still want to, get your claim adjudicated, you can actually take the policy, go to the court, and get your claim reimbursed if it's an actual valid claim. So that's my 2 cents on how we manage regulation till regulation is evolved enough.
Great. Okay, so another question, very interesting, but so once the bull run ends, if anything catastrophic comes up, how is the Ownery token support if things go this way, and if it exceeds the market cap, how do you plan that?
So the question is, if the bull run ends, what happens to Uno, right?
Yeah.
So that's a very good question. We get asked that a lot. For Uno, when we set it up, our main goal was to go beyond crypto. So what we wanted to do was, we wanted to decentralize the entire process of insurance, but that does not mean that we would restrict ourselves to crypto insurance. Right now, The reason that we're only doing crypto is because there is a lot of opportunity and there's dearth of insurance. If there's like a bear market and the asset size decreases, that doesn't mean that the business is going to go. It just means that the premium that you're getting would be lower. What that would allow us to do is that would allow us to explore opportunities that are outside. We're already tying up with many multinational reinsurance and insurance brokers so that we can move their assets and insure or reinsure or quota insure them on chain. So for us, if there is a bear market, it allows us to expand outside crypto. If there is not a bear market, it allows us to even capitalize on the size of the assets that are increasing.
That makes sense. Great. Thank you so much, Jaskanwar and Sujith. This was highly insightful and mighty kind of you to share all of it to the detail that will help us all best. It was great having you both, and a very warm welcome again to the Polkadot India community. We'll be glad to stay in touch.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate everything that you guys have done, and the audience has been great as well.
Great.